me feeling like I'm academics.
Every single day. So we love Hip Hop Network on everything. So,
Exactly. Go check my man out, bro. I appreciate you for being on here, bro.
thank you, Ak. Salute.
All right, definitely. All right, chat. I wanted to play this real quick. We're going to get our tinfoil hats on. I'm going to get a tinfoil hat because I need one of those. 50 Cent was speaking at Invest Fest, and I want to salute to the brothers who have this podcast. What's the name of their podcast again? It's oh my God, I feel disrespectful now. Invest Fest, Earn Your Leisure. I'm sorry, Earn Your Leisure. Okay, so they were interviewing 50 Cent at their live event. By the way, they had like 20,000 people watching. Like there were 20,000 people in attendance. They filled out an arena. So these guys are huge. They're a big deal. And while talking to 50 Cent, 50 started talking about the liquor game, but he also expressed that he believes that Diddy's now legal situation, which is criminal, is kind of in part to the fact that Diddy fell out with the liquor brand. And this is how he described it. Check this out.
Experience with major corporations, like me, my particular experience with Beam Centauri, it was great in the beginning. It's great for us to work for them. It is not so cool when you start to own things. You see what I'm saying? So I made a lot of money with them too. Like there's a point, they did a deal that mirrored what Puffy's deal with Diageo was for Ciroc. So he didn't have ownership of that at any point, but he was getting a lot of money, like almost like $60 million a year at one point. So you see him go to daily on is when you see him have some issues. And these people have really strong relationships. Don't think that...
Okay, I didn't want to pause that. I want to keep giving y'all information to make y'all knowledge a little bit stronger. What I've heard behind the scenes and from very reputable sources is that, so Ciroc, the original brand, the blue dot one, the one that is non-flavored, Diddy had no stock in them, okay? And primarily really he never had any percentage ownership over Ciroc, period. What they did, they used to give him like a influencer endorsement fee. This is your money to keep promoting Ciroc. He became such a big lifestyle part of their promotion and part of their sales growth that they brought him in and they said, we're going to do you one better. So other than the money you're just getting for promoting Ciroc, we're going to give flavored Ciroc to the market. You'll get paid a percentage, or actually, I think it was just a couple of, cents on the dollar or dollars on whatever the price was for every case of these flavored vodkas being sold. So what did it do? It didn't give him ownership of Ciroc, but it gave him an incentive to push the flavored vodkas. That's why he was like, Coco Loso, here's the peach. We got apple Ciroc. You realize at a point he kept doing flavored vodka because he was getting a few dollars or a percentage of each box that was being sold. Okay? Now, ultimately, what he wanted to get to was not keep introducing different flavor. Watermelon, grape, mango. He wanted to get percentage on the brand overall. That was never going to happen with Ciroc. Ciroc is in existence before him, and even though he did wonders for the brand, especially marketing it to a urban base, they're not going to give you something that's an already existing product. And also what they're going to say to you, what we paid you for the endorsement fee, your equity is already, like what you did for our brand is already done. So while we're not going to pay you in post for something you already did that we paid you for before. Now, sometimes that results in people be like, all right, well, cool. I'll tell people not to drink it now. And maybe sometimes you could leverage that. It could be like, yo, hey, I'll get off y'all brand and tell people not to drink it. Anyway, what they did do is that, tequila started popping up. So we get the Casamigos and, the Don Julios who start getting more popularity in urban communities. And they basically say to him, we will do a deal with you for this brand called De Leon. I believe De Leon is tequila, right? Is it? Let's see. De Leon. Yeah, tequila. It's a tequila. So what they said is we're going to give you the deal that Jay-Z has. And this is how you have to realize it's like back to Sean John, who was distributed through Mark Echo. No, not Sean John. G-Unit Clothing that went through Mark Echo, I believe. These bigger brands that are already established have these bigger contracts already. They're like, okay, we'll partner with you, but we own 50%. And the same with Douce. Bacardi had owned part of Douce. And same with De Leon. Diageo had owned part of De Leon. Now, Diddy started feeling the type of way because he wants to transition from promoting Ciroc, which is smoothly sailing. Why keep promoting the shit? I'm getting $5 per whatever. I want to promote the shit that I get percentage. And that's where supposedly the issue started. They wouldn't approve budgets, wouldn't approve the marketing and promotion to get De Leon to the point that they initially approved Ciroc to get to. And did he start to realize what Kanye say? Even if you in a coupe, you just a nigga in a coupe, or whatever that line was. Yeah. They own 100% of Ciroc. Ciroc is going to have this budget. They own only 50% of De Leon. De Leon's going to have this budget. He didn't feel too good about that. Called them out about lack of promotion allocation in terms of dollars, a lot of other things, to the point that Diddy said, I'm going to sue them. I don't know if y'all remember this. I think it was at InvestFest. Diddy talked about the Diddy InvestFest Ciroc. He talked about his issue. Yeah, it's a year ago.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to the brothers at Earn Your Leisure. This was a year ago during the midst of the Diageo lawsuit.
And they still get treated equally.
Let me play a little bit of this. I want to take a piss real quick because I got to pee. I haven't peed in 6 hours, chat. I'm drinking a lot of liquor, okay? Not Diageo. Well, actually, is this on my Diageo? Anyway, everybody drink Happy Dad. That's what y'all should be drinking. Be right back.
Hey, I just want to take a second to give my brothers their flowers. Earn Your Leisure, Rashad and Troy, what they have ignited in our community for financial literacy is something that is needed and something that's God sent. And this right here is the Hustlers Super Bowl. And so let's just make some noise for these two brothers right here for teaching us and showing us the way. Earn Your Leisure.
Nah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Super Bowl. I like it. I like that.
Let's get into it, man. We got a lot to talk about, but let's start at the beginning. So,
yeah,
I want to know, starting Bad Boy Records, right? To me, definitely top 2, top 3 labels ever when it comes to hip hop music, right? Inspired you to have that vision in the early 90s. It's trendy to have a record label now, but especially the way you did it as far as hiring the top producers, making sure you had the top in-house talent. You kind of navigated it very strategically. What was your thought process when you was 19 years old doing that?
I would have to say, starting Bad Boy, I had to tap into the love, I fell in love with hip-hop the first day I heard, this battle mixtape of the Treacherous 3 versus the Funky 4+1. Y'all may not know about any of this. But it was like the upcoming rap groups that didn't have any other exposure until the Sugar Hill Gang came. And when the Sugar Hill Gang record dropped and I heard it played on the station WBLS, I knew that hip hop had arrived. And so I started looking at it as a possible career. But it really came to me when I was at the Fresh Fest in the late 80s, when I saw Run DMC in Madison Square Garden tell everybody to hold up their Adidas in 30,000.
Okay, all right, we're going to get to the Diageo stuff.
Get treated equally. And so for me, with the record company, I had to look bigger than hip.
Okay, so he's talking about the record company. Let's get to the Diageo.
Every decision I was making, I was like, that this is something that I have to change. I can't just come and get this check and not be changing the way the ecosystem is. So if you want to have a successful brand, you have to have, number one is you have to have the supply to meet the demand, and then you have to have the distribution. And so if people control your supply and control your distribution, they control your future. And so that's what I'm fighting for right now.
So let's talk about Ciroc. Is that one of the biggest regrets that you made as far as not having equity in Ciroc?
No, it's not a regret. Everybody has a journey, and that's just really how, you know, corporate America works. You gotta pay your dues to get in, and they make us prove ourselves over and over and over. And I don't have any regrets because the journey was the most important. And also, I'm not really letting Ciroc go. So, you know, I'm going through this, but it's part of the journey. So I had to go through this to be able to get to this point.
Well, when you spoke to us, it was enlightening because even if you look at a lot of the billionaires in our culture, it's because of spirits. When you look at Jay, you look at yourself, a lot of people have made their money not so much on the music side, but on the spirit side. Then you look at somebody like George Clooney, who's one of the greatest actors of all time. He became a billionaire because of tequila on the low. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like when you were saying how other brands were put in bars and put in restaurants and there was marketing dollars behind that. That's why you heard of these liquors that you never heard of before. They weren't putting your liquor in the same places, and they was actually just relying on your star power and not giving you the marketing dollar. It's kind of like fighting with your hands cuffed. So I think it's great to communicate that, because from the outside in, it could be looked at as like, that's just somebody's rich problems. Like, me soon, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like you said, it's bigger than you, because it's like, all right, this is a problem that's faced across the board, where black companies get less funding, black companies get less promotion, less distribution. If you look at InvestFest, look how many people is here right now. There's no reason why we shouldn't have $10 million in corporate sponsorships, right? If we was a white entity and it was all white people, every single corporation in America would be sponsoring InvestFest, right?
Facts.
But these are the problems that are hard to communicate, because it's like most people, you're worried about, you know, paycheck to paycheck, right? So you're not worrying about that, but it's like on a higher level, there's different levels of racism. This is the level of racism that you don't see. So it looks like, oh, we're millionaires and we get 15,000 people, but it's like somebody else can do a fraction of this and get way more money and be on CNBC and be on Bloomberg. But when we get on, it's for diversity or a black initiative or a Black History Month. That's a systemic problem in this country that's hard to communicate because people don't fully understand it. And you told me, so you was like, on your level, there's issues that's hard to communicate because we don't understand it, because we're not at the billionaire level. So I think it's just important it's always, every level that you go to, there's different hurdles.
Yes. One of the things I've been blessed to see is having 30 years in corporate America with partnerships. And we have to come to the reality that nobody is coming to save us. No one is coming to save us. Out of all the business revenue in America,
see your donation, by the way. I'm looking it up.
Only 1% goes to black businesses. But then there's an accountability from us, because we have a $1.8 trillion buying power.
I created.
And only 2% of that we circulate in our own communities. So we can't complain. We know what it is. It's time to change the tone. We have to unify.
Walked away from it. It was like, how can we be as disruptive?
But from day one, you know, for me, my purpose was always to make sure that I was working to make life better for my people. So as I looked at where we're supposed to be as a people, in 2053, they said we're going to have zero net wealth as a people. So I didn't want to sit there and complain about it. I'm like, what do we have to do? What do we have to do? And I remember Tulsa. And I was like, Tulsa, Black Wall Street, Black Main Street. And I was like, you know, I'm standing on the shoulders of my ancestors right now. I said, I have the mind and creativity to make a global marketplace, to make the new Black Amazon where we can see ourselves circulating our dollars. I don't want to ask nobody for shit. I'm going. It's Empowered Global. It's a solution, and it puts accountability back on us. We cannot leave this room and not have the accountability to do better, because it's ridiculous that out of $1.8 trillion, we only love ourselves 2%. And so Empowered Global was created for entrepreneurs of color.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him to address the Diageo shit. Hold on.
If you don't control your narrative, somebody else will control it.
But as 19 Keys likes to say, there's also positive propaganda, right? So I think that we at EYL, we provide positive propaganda where this is good stories and inspirational stories of parents of media in the Black community.
Yes. Media is the most powerful industry in the world.
I agree.
If you don't control your narrative, somebody else will control it. I built Revolt not just as a platform to follow in the footsteps of BET, which I want to just give a shout out to Bob Johnson. We don't have the ability to compete. The money that you make, you put into your programming, you invest for it.
Are you talking about TV?
The opportunity is truly a blessing.
Talk about the process of selling your mind frame and then your mind frame and buying it back. A lot of Black businesses get criticized when they sell.
I bet on Black.
That's Sean John.
I bet on Black culture.
These throwback videos of that puff energy, and it's infectious, right?
Here we go.
We'll talk about that.
I can't play a part of the
Here we go.
from anybody. Don't steal from nobody.
Not that way.
But it's your dreams. You got to manifest it, and you got to take it with that intense energy.
So as far as, I believe there's like 13 Black billionaires in America. You're one of them. It's almost an impossible feat to accomplish.
Wait, hold on. Wait, there's no claps for that? That should be standing to your feet. It's a Black billionaire. You kidding me? Everybody should be up.
Love.
That's crazy.
Man, it's a lot of people.
You know where he's from? New York.
Yo, we can never normalize being a billionaire.
Not an everyday thing, man.
By the way, we know almost all of them.
Yeah.
Also true.
That's a fact. We'll have another one tomorrow. That's a fact. Finesses
Two
only.
claps.
Yeah.
I wanna be careful with that, y'all. When they talk about us having money and y'all look at us, it's truly an illusion of inclusion.
Talk
Like
about that.
I can't play a part of the illusion of inclusion. So you're looking here at me like I'm totally included. No, I'm fighting for the same thing I was fighting for when I got into the game, but it's at another level. And so it's very important to understand this is the truth. Out of all the billionaires in the world got almost 9 billion people in it. There's only 16 Black billionaires. So that's the illusion. So every time, it feels good for one of us to get in, two to get in, but we got to stop taking the crumbs. It's time for way more of us out of 9 billion. I want 2 billion to be billionaires. I don't want nothing less for myself or my people.
That's why I was going to ask you, as far as being such in rare space, who do you talk to? Like, I know obviously it's you and Jay, a few other people, but seeing it from the mountain as a
parent, you're going to hit these obstacles. There's this fear that
have way bigger followings than me.
To control of just like
love.
Talk about what you want to invest in and what you're doing.
Damn, he gave him $1 million. Yeah, they were on Diddy's ass back.
Out. If we unify, but we got to truly, truly unify. We have to truly, truly start making decisions that support our communities. We can't think that there's a government grant that's going to come distribution, I could never.
Okay, so it was kind of lightly talking about it. He never really fully talk about it. Do I have any other videos of him talking about it? I'll play the 50 Cent thing in full, and then I'll try to get back to it. This is a 50 Cent episode, I believe.
Highest rated show on that particular network, so it gives you the cachet that
Hold on.
kind of allowed me a little more leverage with the things. What'd you say? Yes.
I think this is
And then it worked out. It worked out, like, you know. And my audience, I like to say this: my core audience was in college during 2003, right?
Yes, they here right now.
Yeah.
18. Yeah, I think this is
And I love you. If you just made noise, I love you, because without you, I wouldn't be successful. See,
By the way, he was their big guest this year. Last year was Diddy. Same podcast. Shout out to Earn Your Leisure.
that core, that noise that you heard from '03,
Hold on.
the things that go on, like they are conscious of finance now, Republicans.
This is true.
So he done made some money. He said, "Fuck that."
One of the things we talk about, especially in this crowd, is access to capital, especially for black entrepreneurs, black business founders. In your space, money that comes from advertising. I wonder, do we face challenges the same way that entrepreneurs are facing when it comes to getting dollars from corporate?
Well, initially, when I get into a new venture, I finance it. Like, I usually use my money to start, and then as we get into
What about that whole situation?
yeah, you have the experience with major corporations, like my particular experience with Beam Suntory.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I want to talk about that, right? Sire Spirits.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Cognac and Le Chemin de Noir Champagne. I own the entire company. Like those, that's completely black owned.
Well, I want to talk about that, right? Sire Spirits.
Yeah.
So, all right, Sire Spirits, completely black owned, like you said, liquor company. Talk about that, 'cause I know you had challenges before that, right? So, talk about that whole situation.
Yeah, you have the experience with major corporations, like my particular experience with Beam Suntory. It was great in the beginning. It's great for us to work for them. It's not so cool when you start to own things. You see what I'm saying? So I made a lot of money with them too. Like, there's a point they did a deal that mirrored what Puffy's deal with Diageo was for Ciroc. So he didn't have ownership of that at any point, but he was getting a lot of money, like almost like $60 million a year at one point. So when you see him go to Daily On is when you see him have some issues. And it gets bad. You know, and these people have really strong relationships. Don't think that the civil case doesn't turn into a criminal case faster because he's making them uncomfortable. That's a big part of it. You know what I mean? Like, you look, when you go to the spirits businesses, it's not governed. They got a discus board that they created, right? If you got two companies that are...
I like to pause that and give some context. It's not the first time I've heard that, and I could pull up another interview if you want me to. I'll go through the time to find it and pull it up. And obviously, I think your initial reaction will be like, "Well, you're pulling up shitty people." Martin Shkreli said the same thing. Martin Shkreli said what happened was the way we were impacting this market started messing with a lot of people who had a lot of, financial stake in the game. And he said, what usually happens is all these companies have the best law firms known to man. And if you know anything about law, a lot of times if you're a top company, your general counsel used to probably be working for the SEC or working for maybe some federal agency before they really got the bag in their private practice being your general counsel. And it's one of those things where if you're that big company and you say, yo, this guy Diddy or this guy Marcius Crowley is giving me hell, they say that to their general counsel, who makes a call to the U.S. attorney, who says, oh, we'll open up an investigation. And if you kind of realize at a point, if you got a lot of shit going on, we've heard all type of charges. They could find some charge to get you down on. And this kind of seems about to be what a thing, right? If we're believing 50, you start barking up the tree of Diageo. All of a sudden, there's investigations that pop off. Now, we can't dismiss the Cassie thing, right? But still, you start barking up that tree, a lot of different things and investigations start falling down. So, let me keep playing.
$3 billion a year. And Beam Centauria and Diageo, the distribution level, it's very hard for you to get things to a point where you can do the numbers, the right numbers, the amount. So it's kind of like they incentivize the sales force by giving them box bonuses. And then when you sell a product, you get the bonuses off the boxes that's there. But you make that no matter what product you're selling. So if you sell Hennessy or Remy out the gate, they start to put downward pressure on the new companies. You see, I had a lawsuit with Remy. They said that because I had an oval-shaped bottle, that there was some sort of product confusion, and I'm like, where? It's a big B in the middle of the fucking bottle. Like you don't own the shape, the whole shape of the bottle, you know. And then we had went in there for a little while until it came, I started saying shit like 1738. I bet they had slaves. Then shit got uncomfortable, and it was like, look, relax, okay? Can we make donations to existing foundations to make you feel happy? Yeah. Yeah, and it went away. But they do spend $63 million targeting African American male consumers a year.
It's interesting to watch 50 even say this, because 50 is clearly like Diddy's biggest op, right? Like publicly. And watching him kind of even admit that, yo, shit, a lot of this shit that's happening to you right now. Number one, I don't think he's saying this because he gives a fuck about Diddy. I think he sees that now he's about to bark up some trees. Because you do realize that 50, he's been pretty impervious, but he's kind of stuck within the confines of all these companies. We seen him when he did try to get into the headphone business with Sleek. We saw how that happened. Yeah, he sued them, but he ain't really make the dent. His biggest deal was probably Vitamin Water. Okay, cool, but Coca-Cola, he didn't directly go against Coca-Cola. He hasn't really necessarily gone up against like some of these behemoths as we're seeing Jay-Z has done, which, by the way, I think Jay-Z is the only person who could probably say he's been, successful from a takedown or been impervious to a takedown. Remember, Jay-Z went against Apple Music and Spotify with Tidal, right? And even if, I still believe that, he, was pimping culture to get us to fuck with him, shit, he was getting at their bottom line, their market share. And if we're believing 50 here, where it's like, if you fuck with people's bottom line and market share, they might just get a criminal case, get you investigated for a criminal case and maybe even charged. Jay seemed to avoid that. But also, we got to point out that Jay started aligning himself with a lot of white men who are also very powerful. The Michael Rubins, the Jack Dorseys, like that's his crowd. He's not hanging with a bunch of niggas no more, right? And maybe, maybe Diddy was just out of line. But I do think the reason why he doesn't just throw Diddy under the bus is that, well, ain't 50 going to Shreveport to try to build a movie studio? Don't we say more than even the music business, the film entertainment business, the TV, like that business is really controlled? And God knows what maybe they've tried to do with Tyler Perry, but do you think they want somebody like 50 now, being the sole production company that's sending the majority of films, whether it be cultural or not, to platforms like Stars or maybe even other like streaming platforms at this point? No. So I do think, Diddy's thinking about his own mortality. Because if you believe this at all, you don't think they're coming for you? You're trying to make the billion. Where 50 is at, he's trying to make the $1 billion play. Jay been made the $1 billion play. Jay's a billionaire. Diddy been made the $1 billion play. Right? Kanye made the $1 billion play, but he stepped out of line. They claim he's no longer a billionaire. 50, he realizes his turn. He's making the $1 billion play. So I think this is why he doesn't just completely be like, yo, Diddy, what's up? Like, of course he doesn't like the guy, but I think his satisfaction is in the fact that Diddy's in jail and can't fuck his baby mamas no more. I think that's his satisfaction. But this other stuff that's happening, I think he has to be smart enough to realize, well, if you believe any of that, you realize that they're coming for you next, right?
Remy, specifically. So.
By the way, some people say Ice Cube. Shit, Ice Cube didn't really fully all the way get the big three where it needs to get, but shit, I can imagine what Ice Cube's been fending off as well.
That's why that would be uncomfortable, me making those statements. And it's risk versus reward. It doesn't make sense to fight the fight. So they said, let's just let that go. But, they ripped me off too, man. God damn it. They did. They ripped me off. Because one of the head guys is the head of sales for Beam Satori. They set up a play and they were able to send a letterhead for Beam Centauri over to France and get the champagne company to commit to coming out and talking to them. And they have these things like it's where you put agency fees, like someone who contacted your grower or a person who's producing the cognac for you and made the deal for you, and they put agency fees on the product. To give you an example of the scheme that they put together, it's like, say you wanted to sell T-shirts, and I go to China for you. And I tell the people in China, how much can you make the shirt for? And they tell me $4, and then I come back and I tell you, yo, they said $8. And then every time you send the check to the producer, they just put $4 on the side for them every time. So they ciphered off about $6 million from me in the very beginning. And then the legal fees has been almost a whole nother, almost $10 million. So
again, just 50's going through it too. He's trying to do something, and you got to always give these guys credit. They're trying to create an infrastructure that is a $1 billion empire that is entirely black owned and possibly independent. That threatens a lot of market share, and you got to imagine what could come from that. Obviously, Todd Perry has done it successfully, but then you have the 50s who's trying, and I think he's going to go through it too. 50. This is why I think 50's going to start toning down some of the rhetoric online. He's not going to be as petty. I think his last petty shit was Diddy. His last petty shit, if you ask me. But the more he gets involved, because here's the thing, 50 has to interact with politics to get the town to approve certain shit. He's influencing. He's trying to bring up the downtown area of Shreveport because he wants to turn where he's building an empire into a really thriving community. He's already gotten, not the key, but I think he got like some type of acknowledgement from the city. So again, he doesn't want to keep doing the bullshit. If you ask me, I would be shocked if he's still doing the super petty shit. This is his $1 billion play. It is what it is. And from what I'm hearing, when an African-American person tries to do an independent $1 billion play or tries to be free of the institution, it's cool while you're a billionaire with them, because Diddy was a billionaire with Diageo. When he started saying, nah, what's up with this? You're going to jail. Kanye was a billionaire with Adidas. The moment he started saying, fuck y'all, he got no more deals. You get what I'm saying? Again, not saying this is absolute fact, but things we should think about, all right? I've seen something pop up, and I want to clear up a few things. I've seen this pop up recently. Somebody says,